x-intercept and y-intercept of a graph. X-intercept is a point at which the graph intersects the x-axis. So at that point, we let y equals to 0 and then solve for x. So let's say we want to sketch the graph of this equation, y equals to 3 over 2x minus 3. So the x-intercept, so you will get some straight line, right? So you will get some straight line. The x-intercept is the point on the curve where the curve hit the x-axis. All right, so how do we find that point? Since that point is on the x-axis, so let's take a look at this graph. So let's say we have a point on the x-axis, so right over here. At that point, we know y equals to 0. So to find the x-axis, we have to let y equals to 0. So let's put this graph back, and then let's go ahead and read the y-intercept. So y-intercept is a point at which the graph intersects the y-axis. So we have a point on the y-axis, and then at that point we have x equals to 0. So let's find the x and y-intercept of the first equation. So to find the x-intercept, I always write this down. To find the x-intercept, you let y equals to 0. So when y is equals to 0, you have 0 equals to 3 over 2x minus 3, and then just solve this simple linear equation. So we have 3 equals to 3 over 2x. So obviously x equals to 2, and then the x-intercept is 2, 0. Please don't say that the x-intercept is 2. X-intercept is an order pair, is a point on the curve. So you have to provide the x and the y coordinates. So 2 comma 0, not just x equals to 2. And then on the other hand, for the y-intercept, so y-intercept, so this time we are going to let x equals to 0, which is very easy. So y equals to 3 over 2 times 0 minus 3, so y is equals to negative 3. As always, y-intercept is a point, is an order pair, so you should write 0 comma negative 3. And then the way we sketch the graph is we plot these 2 points, so one at 0, negative 3, which is right over there, the y-intercept, and then the x-intercept is at 2 comma 0, and then we have a straight line, right? This is y equals to 3 over 2x raised to the first power minus 3. So we have a straight line, so all you have to do is you connect these 2 points and then you extend the line. So do you see that? So this is the graph of the equation. So what is the line represents? The line represents y equals to 3 over 2x minus 3. The x-intercept is 2, 0. The y-intercept is 0, negative 3. All right, so let's do the other one. The other one, we have to find the x-intercept first. So for x-intercept, you let y equals to 0 and then solve for x. 0 equals to negative 2 over 5x plus 2. Subtract 2 on both sides, you have negative 2 over 5x. So this one, we have to let x must be equals to 5, right? So when x is equals to 5, we have y equals to 0. All right, and then the x-intercept is 5 comma 0. So when x is equals to 5, y is equals to 0. So we have a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I should just plot a point right over there to make the graph cleaner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have an x-intercept right over there. And then the y-intercept, so y-intercept, you let x equals to 0. Y equals to negative 2 over 5 times 0 plus 2. You have y equals to 2. So when x is equals to 0, y is equals to 2. So this is your 0, 2. And then you connect these 2 points to sketch the graph. So you connect them and then you extend the line. So what is this line stands for? This line stands for y equals to negative 2 over 5x plus 2. And this is also how you sketch the graph of a linear equation using x and y-intercept. So you find the x-intercept, find the y-intercept, plot both, connect them, extend the line, then you get your graph. This is a 5 comma 0, and this is a 0 comma 2. All right, so let's do more examples. So moving on, I want you to give me the x and y-intercept of this equation. So to find x-intercept, always write this down. X-intercept, I will just write int. We let y equals to 0. So we have 0 equals to the square root of 3x minus 1. To get rid of the square root, you square both sides. 0 equals to 3x minus 1. In case you don't remember, I will just write this out for you. Alright, so obviously we have x equals to 1/3, right? So the x-intercept is 1/3 comma 0. And then how about the y-intercept? The y-intercept is to find the y-intercept, we let x equals to 0, and then we solve for y. So y is equals to the square root of 3 times 0 minus 1. Y is equals to the square root of -1. That is undefined, right? The square root of negative is undefined, so this is undefined. Therefore, there is no y-intercept. This equation has no y-intercept. Alright, the other one, so to find the x-intercept, we let y equals to 0, so 0 equals to negative absolute value x plus 4. So we have an absolute value. The only way to get a 0 on the left hand side is the stuff inside the absolute value equals to 0. So we want to have x plus 4 equals to 0 in order to get a 0 on the left hand side. So therefore x is equals to -4, then your x-intercept is -4 comma 0. How about the y-intercept? The y-intercept, we are going to let x equals to 0. So we have y equals to negative, absolute value 0 plus 4. So y is equals to negative. Since the negative is outside the absolute value, that doesn't affect anything. So we will just have a -4. So the y-intercept is when x is equals to 0, y is equals to -4. Alright, not yet, we are not done. We still have more. So I have 2 more functions for you. So this time, the one on the left has multiple x-intercepts. So let's find that. So for the x-intercept, we let y equals to 0. So we have 0 equals to negative x to the third plus 4x. Still remember how to factor this. So first of all, I will factor our negative and an x out. So I have a x squared minus 4, right? I have a x squared minus 4. And then 0 equals to negative x. And then I have x plus 2. And then x minus 2. Using zero product property, I have x equals to 0, -2, and a positive 2. Okay, so we have 0 comma 0, -2 comma 0, and positive 2 comma 0. And then how about the y-intercept? So for the y-intercept, we let x equals to 0, which is very easy. So we have y equals to -0 to the third plus a 0, right? So y equals to 0, and then the origin 0 comma 0 is both the x and the y-intercept. You don't need to sketch the graph, but I still want to show you what the graph looks like. But we remember you don't need to sketch this by hand. I don't expect you to, I won't like ask you to sketch this graph by hand. I just want to show you what the graph looks like. So we have a 0, 0, a -2, and a positive 2. The graph looks like this, going down, going up, and then going down. That looks like this. So we have 1 at the origin, 1 at a 2, and then 1 at a -2. Alright, so let's do the red one. The red one, we have to find the x-intercept. And then we let y equals to 0. So 0 squared equals to 5 minus x. So x is equals to 5, right? So x is equals to 5. Then we have 5 comma 0. That is my x-intercept. And then for the y-intercept, we have to let x equals to 0. So we have y squared equals to 5 minus 0. Then y squared is equals to 5. This is a square, right? And then y is equals to plus or minus square root of 5. When do we use the plus or minus? When the degree is even. Second power, fourth power, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. When the power is even, you have to use a plus or minus. So therefore, we have 2 y-intercept. 1 at 0 root phi, and then 1 at 0 negative root phi. What is the graph look like? The graph looks like a sideways parabola. The graph looks like this. You have an x-intercept at phi 0, and then two y-intercepts, one at 0 root phi, one at 0 negative root phi. So let's make that symmetrical. Like that is a sideways parabola. So this is a 0 negative root phi. The one on top is 0 positive root phi. Alright, so that is the end of this lesson. If you like the way I teach math, give me a thumbs up, a subscribe. I will meet you all in the next lesson. Signing out.